digital spaces are really tricky. So BN was originally under Soul. So if you look at the Soul generation or the Soul as a group, they have more numbers. So this was an individual brand. He is a great artist. So there is Ghana and Nigeria and all that. So they are trying to come together to uplift a talent that they are all believing in. But it comes from a point that he is now a solo artist. He is no longer under a group. So he is still building the numbers to get where he's supposed to be. And lucky enough for him, he is having the backup and support of his fans.
Thank you so much. I want creation.
No, I don't.
What could be the problem?
Again, I think it's the issue of the cooperative course, that's number one. But again, for me, even the contracts we didn't really pay attention to them. To be honest with you, for me, I was driven by the fact that I love to do music. I'm passionate about it. I want to help talent grow. So I never paid attention to whether I'm going to make money in it or not. Even afterwards, I didn't really pursue that, you know. So, but I mean, when systems are working, maybe everything's structured now, like honestly, it would be nice that I can get what I have to get. Nezi search for konyo, chinali konyo, pushing muziki.
So Shadrach, what do you think of what Jess Roper highlighted earlier on? Yeah. When we have this law in place, do you want to get those royalties, or to be free to get them us?
It would be nice. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar.
I get it. Yes, Ram. Let me pass the mic to Ram. Oh, sorry.
I also heard what the Federation President said, but I think there was some unclarity there. I think the point is that these old catalogs in the Shadrach's times can come back to life. So the issue is going to be the compliance of both parties, both the record label owners and then the artists who are on these songs. And also that since we know that we are into digital transformation and all this, the quality before may not compete favorably in this generation. So when you hear Busy Signal doing songs of the previous artists, American artists like Laura was saying, those problems were also there. So when you see Busy Signal doing those things, that's how they regain what they had lost before. It would simply mean Shadrach ajakwata nyimba zeyalina before agambe yo fefe busi kola what then you have a new split sheet. So just to conclude, my other point was about the split sheets. I think for us artists and creatives to understand this properly, a split sheet should be considered as either a transcript or a land title. That as much as you have these things, you've paid studio time, you own the music, you've signed split sheet and what, they are still properties that can be revisited, and they are not owned by either the creator or the promoter. Ntino banga wamala dokusoma bo wasasula fees wakola ki wobogenda kwesimbawo bagamba dayo wa ku university. That's how the split sheet should be looked at. Timwina and the Rangos go back to Uganda Lands Board. So this split sheet must have a regulatory body in Avanga Yejifulumiza. So Sigamati, every studio will produce a Kolachoyagara Vichi. I think that's where we should be looking at. Thank you.
Bonagwa Uganda. Nenyimba zasinga from za Uganda. Bawobuzo na Uganda betulina. Oluzungu lwandi badde lutono. Ekisokera ddala. Umusingi gwa music gwa twogera ku twali kwa Uganda. Swechiri nze Brian Kibenzi ni mwimbi ni mwandishi wa nyimba. Ekisokera ddala mwatuvuzeemo supiri mutya. Twazo abyuga tuli nkiraba era nsimanyi ba distributor obani temwatunyonyodde yuga tuli bebani.
Kijama sawa.
Kirungi kiba kijja. Kyembadde nsaba kyemwayogeddeko wali nti waliwo omukulu kyayogeddeko James Roper n'agamba nti endagaano babagikoze obayiteekera bwe balifulumya. Kyembadde nsaba amakubo agandibadde amatuufu gali nti etteeka bwe balifulumya ne miziki yakolwa emabega baddamu ne babiwandiika buto ne baddamu ne bakkiriziganya buto kubanga etteeka libateeka kyova olaba oluusi basobola okugamba nti twale embeera yakyuka ne bagamba endaga muntu gireese era ffenna baatuyita mujje mukole eki mujje mwewandiise obuzibu bubeera ki okuddamu otereeza enkalala zaffe ezabiri ebyayita ze sikirabamu buzibu etteeka libateeka etteeka erifuluma leero ne bagamba nti kati abaali luli katugeze nti omuntu nga tolina bbaluwa obufumbo buba tetububala kitegeeza n'abaali bafumbirwa biri ebya kalica balina okujja ne bakola ki ne bafuna ebbaluwa so kyensobola okwogerako ekyo mwebale nnyo.
Your remedy doesn't lie in the law that is going to be passed. I don't know when it might be this year or next year, but it's just the basic principle of law that laws don't work in retrospect. If a law is passed today that is illegal, okay, I'm going to explain, but let me just put it the way it is legally. Laws don't work retrospectively, which means that if a law is passed today, that putting on blue jackets like mine is illegal, and you bring up a picture of me putting on this jacket, say from yesterday, I'm not at fault. You can't take me to court and say this person has broken a law that was passed today, but he put on the suit yesterday. Mu Luganda, njoba iseteeka leero nga ligamba nti okwambala amakooti ga blue, oba etteeka ne baliyisa enkya nti okwambala amakooti ga blue kiwereddwa era ojja kusiba omwaka gumu. N'oleeta ekifaananyi nga nyambadde ekooti eno olwaleero nti bayisiza etteeka bagaana amakooti ga blue, naye ng'ekifaananyi ky'oleeta kya ggulu. Mba sirina musango mu butuufu okomawo ewaka. What they just said is that they would wish for the old catalogs and the split sheets to be reconsidered and all. I would advise you not to even take that route because it's just a dead end. Your remedy rather lies somewhere else. As a songwriter, Shina, the most you can do in copyright, there are three kinds of rights broken down. There are moral rights, authorship rights, and ownership rights. Moral rights, authorship rights can't be taken away from you, and they're not given to you by this law. It's just a principle of copyright. As long as you have that, you own the song and you have your rights to it. So you shouldn't even wait for the law to be passed for you to claim what is yours, so to speak.
Thank you.
Sorry?
The artists are not
Which is why I say now, if they're not allowing, then like go find remedies elsewhere.
So maybe you can guide us on practical solutions or remedies. Ngeze mu studio nkubye tune yange Daddy Andre mugamba kakati eno split sheet tukayanya tuganya okukkiriziganya. How do we solve that?
Okyali ku bali abakadde
going forward.
As an artist, first of all, or a songwriter, I would advise that you seek legal advice. It might not make sense now, but in the long run it really does. Inti omuyimbi azze ayagala oluyimba mbutuufu nkimanyi oyinza okuba sente ozeetaaga, but it doesn't take much for you to say that, you know what, there is this agreement to signing inti wherever the song goes I own 30% of it because it's your song. And besides, moral rights, authorship rights, like I said, can't be taken away from you. You know what you are wanting. Find a lawyer, go to court. Trust me.
So what you're advising in the process of the creation of the music, they should involve a lawyer.
Exactly.
When an artist comes to a songwriter to make a song.
Yeah.
It could even be like, get a lawyer as a record label, let them draft for you something. It's a standard template. You don't have to come back every time.
Okay, Webaale. Guys, we're going to have to rush this session. You and then
Ku kintu kiri ekya ennyimba enkadde kirina kuba just mu buntu. Yes, etteeka teyitunula amabega, that's very true, but mu buntu nga gwe yakola music n'abantu bano bwe tuba nga tutuusa mu kaseera nga ogenda mufunamu olyoke okuzirya wekka. It's just mu buntu ogambe nti atana okugabane
Muntu abantu alya sente.
But going forward though, nga papa yagambye singa kiba mu tteeka nti kikakatibwako okukolebwa then awajja kikola otherwise bagenda tukolako ekibuli. Me for example, I did a song with Diamond Platnumz. Diamond yatekayo nga songwriter, so they strike my account ku BMI. Unakuwa wimba ne Spice ne Mbosso, Spice yagamba yeruandika, so Mbosso natekayo boka, they strike my account. Which again, but because they have more numbers and more, places than me, that's what people like ekibuli. Next time kiba mu tteeka maybe we have.
Kale singa oli mugagga wulira namba za Diamond, namba za Mbosso.
Yeah, nze njagala nnyo amateeka lwakuba siri lawyer. Kanjogereko n'omukulu. You know we have what we call the difference between just the law that you know then this is intellectual property kind of law. The way how we deal this is intellectually very different. What we are dealing with, we are not dealing with people. That's why I told musicians, should you involve or would you involve the manager, they will go and learn because it is their job, and they will negotiate everything professionally with the technical team who are the producers and writers in the beginning. Because we always give songs without even paying at the first time, but it is called passionate, then it's creative. Kyekitufuula kuba creative, tukwata ku kintu kya Bwakabaka bwa Katonda creator mwekiva. So this creative, it is the art, kyekikufuula artist. So tuyinza okubeerawo ne tuvibinga ne kukolera oluyimba, but kyetugenda okutunda luyimba so si gwe nga bw'oyagala. So we are not talking about gwe amateeka agakutwala. Let's talk about the item, the commodity, how we should do it so that kigana okuleeta ki so omuyimbi oli mutuufu okutwala oluyimba luno oluteekayo, naye amazima gali nti luno oluyimba w'olutwala ewantu nga mu kampani ejja ddukkiriza kozi bajja kugamba who is the right anti yeggwe, naye kampani ng'etandika okujja mu buntu nti banyini luyimba twabategedde. That means nti kino ekintu mumanye management. Omanyi lwaki mbagamba value chain? Mbasaba nnyo, the Nigerians why they are where they are right now is because of their management. Balina team nga wekwata omuyimbi ddala, omuyimbi abeera ekyo kyali. Nze mbaagaliza nnyo si nti oba nzala w'omuyimbi, but nze mbasaba management. They will finish all these things. We don't need even a lawyer. We don't need a lawyer. All we need is the copyright law. Nte ekintu kyekolenga kyokka, structure ejja kutereera yokka. Then n'ekirala kyatereeza katono, the word a song, it is when it is recorded. You know the word what it means? Meaning nti era tosobola ku re-recordinga mpozi ng'okisabye. But the word recording is to get all the chords together, yeah? What we are talking about, a song will always last because it is a wave, it is a space. That's where the word digital comes from. So it will always keep supplying it. Oluyimba olutaatunda buli omwaka osobola oddutta kati oba ennyimba z'onu Shadrack ze yakola projects ezo ayinogera n'azikola ki n'asigala nga azirondoola n'amanya ki ekiziriko, because a song can come right now ne kattunda ku TikTok ne kakola ssente naye nga tali kufuna. So what we are trying to say is that bino si bya muntu eteeka wali tolimanyi kasita twayita, but this one we are talking about something that is still a brand new towards new young baby or people who are still being born bawuliriza ennyimba. So all I'm trying to help, oli mutuufu mateeka ago naye twogere ku luyimba. Let's talk about the product. Actually when we go towards personal things mugenda kabanze banzi bakolaki, let's see how the music itself as a commodity, how can we gain industrial for kubanga tufunamu fenna okitegeera so si mmwe okubanga nga mmwe abakabibi kino.
Okay.
The song.
And Webaale nnyo Webaale. Yes. Pass the mic to Sarah.
Actually we munaakola ekyo, thinking, your way of thinking will change from today.
Yes,
when you concentrate on the word a song, the one that you recorded, not on simanyi ono omuyimbi simanyi ani, but the song. Luno oluyimba tugenda tufunamu tutya, mugenda kunoonya ziyuga tunes, mugenda kunoonya abantu abasobola bino ebintu. That is still part of management. Ababimanyi bajja bibayambako management. Ate temugenda mu bamanager omuntu nga yaveeri n'agamba mbuno ye asobola okumanaginga. That's a fan. Oyo fan mujje musayinge naye ayogere ne manager abamanyi guno omulimu gwa bizinensi.
Webaale nnyo Andre. Sarah, let's go to content piracy. Content piracy is to make sure how should creatives ensure that their works are protected, and if a work is pirated, what are some of those mechanisms they can go through to reclaim?
Thank you so much. So, first of all, if your work is copyrighted, it is a very long process for you to reclaim the copyright. But for you to protect your song, you should have registered your publisher or your distributor gives you a unique ID for the song. So, bw'okwata oluyimba olulina ID n'olwa-uploadinga, tewali asobola kulu-duplicatinga. But if you get your original master copy, etaliiko ID, and you upload it, that is when your song will be pirated. Kubanga abana bajja babasobola oludownloadinga bakole oba baluteeke yonna gye baagala oduteeka gy'otagenda kujja sente. So get that, or the copy that has been given to you by your distributor, the one that has a unique ID, gy'oba okola ki, gy'obeera osharinga. Yensonga lwaki ojja kusanga nti gwe nannyini luyimba naye, let's say you're trying to play the song on Facebook and you will receive a strike because they know that this song is not distributed by you, it is someone else has an ID for this song. So use a song that has an ID. For piracy, if you need to control that as well, there are websites ezirina oluyimba illegally. There is a company in the US called Audiolog. So if you can partner with Audiolog or write to Audiolog, but when you're writing to them, be specific and write and say, my song called XYZ is being pirated on this platform XYZ ABC. Stipulate them, share the links, and then request them to strike the song from that specific website, and the song will be striked.
Thank you. Lastly, James Proper, what advice would you give to young creatives who want to start distributing their work digitally?
Yeah, first of all, but this goes to the government. Webabanga investor abakola amasepiki n'abakola enkumbi tubawa ettaka ery'obwereere. Government gives free land, tax holidays to people that are making saucepans. But this industry that contributes, the last I heard, I think I heard Bebe Cool saying it contributes about 3.8% to the GDP. There is no investor that gets this support from government. So it is nice to distribute via the do-it-yourself platforms, which I'll not mention again. But I feel like if we are going to go from a place where we are to a place where we are exporting and entering markets like the Nigerian markets, like the southern sub-Saharan markets, Zambia, Malawi, then we need to work with people that already have establishments in those markets. And the best way to get those people to work with Ugandans is when they know that when they set up something in Uganda, they don't have to pay tax. They can get free office space. They can get access to resources like other investors. So that is the bigger picture that will take us into exporting Ugandan music. But for an artist that is beginning, so just for the government, but to Yambi, by extending services, there is a company that Wycliffe works for that I've been doing stuff with for close to 10 years. It breaks my heart when my boss tells me that we pay close to 40% tax.
40%?
Yes. Which money would have been used to invest back. It's a Colatines company. So such things break my heart that there is no benefit for things like that. How will Sony, how will Universal, how will the Orchard open up? How will Mudundo grow beyond her? And he has a full office of over 20 people if they have to pay the heavy taxes. So that is where it starts if we are going to distribute music correctly. Because the best way to distribute music correctly, unfortunately, it's painful. Some people don't like it, but the world has gatekeepers. And the best way we can get there is to work with them. When you look at names like, what's her name? Tyler, the girl who did Water. Panage, is Water the best song? I think even Sikialos would have been better.
Of course.
But because Sikialos was going through a do-it-yourself platform, it could not make the same numbers like Water did. Water goes through a major label. So that is where we have to look. So younger artists, if you can reach out to these companies, that is the first thing you should do. Reach out to major labels, indie labels that are a bit bigger, that can help you grow your music. But those that cannot have access to Empire, Sony, Universal, what you can do is simple. I don't know how to term it, but when you have an inquiry, how can I get my music to Spotify, for example? Just type that in Google. The first article you read, it will spark your mind with more questions. Before you know it, if you continue questioning the different things that you're reading and the different things that you're researching on, in 2 months you're going to be a pro. The first step now is for you to start with the do-it-yourself platforms. TuneCore, DistroKid, CD Baby. But if you know how to use the email, if you know how to use the very important tool today in the music industry, it's called LinkedIn. But now you move to Facebook and Instagram. Go to LinkedIn. Because on LinkedIn, ne CEO wa Spotify kwali. On LinkedIn, ne MD wa Sony Music Africa kwali. On LinkedIn, head of music Sub-Saharan Africa for Spotify Jamusangako. So those are some of the things we are being able. But get your music through TuneCore, and I know we have companies here. I know Swans Avenue has something. I know there is one called Omziki. I know Content Connect Africa that has something that can distribute your music to digital streaming. And the quicker win is Uganda, a charity offline. But I'm seeing artists making 40 million from caller tunes. Yes. Why prefer you? He can testify. He can testify. Artists are making 40 million on caller tune. So that is also a quick win. That is also distribution. So it is something we should however much I believe that it's a product that is good, that might grow very fast and then die out because abasinga kati simu mukubaza WhatsApp. But for now, I think it is something that we should consider.
Okay. Quickly, I want to pass the mic to at least an artist. The president of Uganda gave us a gift called the Copyright Management Systems. To manage globally.
To me, Ningaba China Soka Kufa artist quality G. How unique are you? Bagana Kopa Watch. Yeah, so how unique are you? Then you will never unique and just sada automatically. But you're poor and yeah. And I told them happy.
What does that mean to the creative arts industry? The efforts of Eddie Kenzo, the Federation, and the President granting us the copyright management system.
For that, yeah, but let's keep on the look, because I think it's going to do something, because I had like it's a gadget that is placed in different bars, yeah, and because I haven't seen it, it is just a hearsay, yeah. So let's keep on the look. We hope for the best. Kobanga, we've all been yearning for something that is going to benefit all the creatives. So if it is going to benefit the producers, the songwriters, then well and good. Let's keep on the look and we hope for the best.
Thank you.
The Chinjagala Okuwagamba as artists, it is very important for an artist to have management, because it is natural at your level of negotiation We have not reached the management. It is very improper for my sister, very proper for what my sister said, that Sonny was taking what was from Michael Jackson. Kugamba. Oberanga gamanti. Neda. Oberanga gamanti. Nti weninwa jaenzo kusinga Swang's Avenue. I'm just being relative. Right? We need management. Put that aside. Now with today's digital distribution for creative content program, njagala fena bali mu room eno twebuza mulimu ba manager, mulimu abantu bona from all walks of life but in the creative industry. If digital distribution for creative content management program is the answer right now, what are the questions? What are the questions? Now, we need to ask ourselves, Abayimbiii, Baloya, what are the questions? If this is the answer, what are the questions?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Lastly, let's pass
behind it. And I think it's a welcome idea and system. However, it was a bit selfish of them, first of all, because reading from what the press release they made, I've read the act itself exhaustively, but there are things it actually doesn't cover. Many of us in this room were happy. They talked about split sheets and whatnot, but I promise you, that act says nothing about it. And I'm so glad we have gentlemen like himself who are with Spotify, who I also fault in a way. I think I should first address you before anyone else. Listen, I've struggled with Netflix several times trying to upload Ugandan content. And the reason why, the major reason they give for not having most of our content there is because we don't follow, should I call it due process? Because why you work here on Netflix and they see a minor, someone below 18, say in a movie, but in the kubuza, consent agreement yomuzadde oyo mwana eriwa. Boba togina, they won't put it there. It's a red flag. Tibawuliddemu oluyimba mulimu saxophone, bajja kubuuza ani yagikuba. Ojja gamba mumanyi namusasula ndwaki, but bajja kusaba agreement. Kakati, back to you Spotify. How about you do the same thing? No guarantee, split sheets ziliwa. Nti mulimu, like you ask for who the writer is, the producers, what are their agreements? If someone doesn't have them, why do they go ahead and upload that work there? That was to you, sir.
No. So,
yeah, but let me just conclude.
For the interest of time, I want us to conclude this, guys, and we go to the next session.
Back to our act. There's a copyright, there's a bit, they presented an act. First of all, I was saying it was selfish of the people that pushed for it to that extent to not consider supporting, they're called neighboring rights. They mostly consider the artist's rights, the person that sings, those are called performing rights. The act hardly says a thing about the neighboring rights. That's the songwriters, producers, and whoever.
The rights are owned by the
okay, if we just to go deep into it, we would spend the night here. But okay, quickly through it. I'll carry on. The act doesn't address neighboring rights to the actual copyright. What Daddy Andrew calls Omuyimbi is the person performing the song. Songwriter in the sense of this act, you're owning a.
Do you know why? Why Douglas? Don't bring that mic.
So, nze mbadde ngoberera etteeka eryo, nga ndi bweru waakyo naye nga ndaba how things are happening. Do you know why songwriters and producers are not really, like, they are not at the center of it? It's simple. Their associations are very weak. Ekyo nkyogera muganda wange Rinix Sandaba. Their associations balabanga nga amendment ejja. The last law yafuluma mu 2006. Engagements z'okukyusa etteeka zatandika, I think, around 2010.
Yes.
Okiraba? 14 years later, 15 years later, we have a chance to tuli maaso ga member of parliament. Naye associations z'abakulu abo ne John Kesimanyi wajali, they did not do their part to make sure that they speak.
Well, thank you. I get the point now. I didn't know about that bit, but then I still find it selfish that you people who work with the same people didn't even bother to reach out to them and bring them on
Thank
board.
you.
Let me just conclude. Douglas,
Yes.
the other thing this act doesn't talk about is the payment system, the payment infrastructure. Yes, they're going to collect all this money, but how are you going to distribute it among the artists? The act is actually silent on all that.
Okay.
And it's one of the bits I fault it on.
We have another panel
and on, but-
coming after Shadrach. And for the interest of time, guys, thank you so much, Sarah, Dadia.
Am I supposed here?
You can sit.
I sit.
You sit for a better
Okay.
location.
A very good evening, guys. Thank you so much for coming through. Everyone that has spent their time to come and be with us here today. Yuga Tunes is an initiative that was birthed around lockdown when I don't know if some creatives are here, but some of the creatives would flock to Gulu to see the big man. So he was thinking, what would be the solution for what is happening in the creative space? So he tasked a couple of us to come up with something. And we thought that how could artists earn even when they are not on stage? You know, because that was the number one problem. Kati afande tetuyimba, tetuli ku stage, tuwe sente, so people stayed in Gulu hotels and they amounted to bills of over 1 billion shillings for those years. So he was perplexed and he was wondering, what do I do? So when they bring people like me on board, I have worked with a couple of international organizations, DSPs, distributors. I span close to a decade. So I take my English and then I start giving him solutions using a lot of English. So afterwards he tells me, Shadrach, yes, you said all that, but the industry has one problem. The problem is capital-labor relations. And at first it didn't make sense because I thought I knew a lot. But our patron is a very wise man. For people who do not know, the patron is General Salim Saleh, a Kandanwa Hokaleb, retired. And he took me through a schooling. And I understood that there's so much labor. There's so many creatives. But that doesn't match the capital. So that's why you find a lot of artists that are on a daily, when someone gets to know that this is Shadrach, or when they get my number, Shadrach Mfunira management, that's the number one. Mfunira anteka musente. In other words, creatives are looking for capital. Labor is looking for capital. But then we also discovered that people like the Shadrachs who earlier on invested, Hassan, they invested earlier on and they figured that there was no professionalism in the industry. And their money died. In other words, they did not make their money back. There was no return on investment. So what happened was we needed to find a way of creating an environment that safeguards an investor's money. In other words, we needed to come up with a solution that makes the creative sector investment ready. We needed to come up with a solution that actually guarantees an investor. Nzije sente zange mbikajjo, nkutaddemu milioni 2, nasobola okugajjayo. The creative industry is the only industry that I know about in terms of business that you will invest 100 million and the only thing you have to show is a YouTube channel. And that YouTube channel does not even make $1,000 a month. I know. I meet so many investors. Music, like somehow God has blessed me that every time someone is trying to invest in an artist, they're like, Shadrach Obimanyi, Soko Jomba Lidemu. And I'll tell them the truth. That this is not, because 100 million if you bought land in Gayaza, after 3 years, I don't know. But in this industry, if you invested it, you may not, God willing, you can very fast when you do the right things, but you might also not. So I've been in so many times in debates between capital, which are managements, labels, investors, and labor, who are the creatives. And because the creative is the one who is seen, they have the sympathy
of the public. So oftentimes, like it or not, investors are sidelined. I've seen so many times, and I'm not saying every artist is like that. Sometime, as we were developing what we are launching today, the distribution platform. Now, they can always go on a conversation back and forth, distributor, who is the best distributor, who is this, who is that, who is this. But this is what I have to say. I have been in the digital game. I'm spanning to a decade now. I've worked with the best distributors. I've represented AudioMark for a long time. I helped Boomplay come in here. I started Mudundo at campus. It's been a long time. So one thing I know is that first things first, your music has to be there. Before we get into who is the best distributor, your music has to be there, primarily. Because even if, let's say, Abasa over there was pitching music, or what James does at Spotify, so the first thing is the music has to be on the platforms. Before we move to who is the best distributor, the music has to get there. So this is the solution that we are presenting today. That a creative has the ability to distribute their music on a global scale. And mind you, we had a vision as Ugatunes. You know, when people talk about digital, it's just Kampala. People think that Kampala is Uganda. No. There's so many creatives, what we call the last mile creatives. You know, there are so many TikTok videos that I watch, and guys have extremely nice content, but they're in the Antonde. You see an artist, very good artist, but they're in Karamoja. Very brilliant. It's just that they don't have exposure. So Uganda is not Kampala. Even the conversation that we were having earlier on the panel, people were talking about, oh, you see the Nigerians, oh, you see the Nigerians. Personally, and it's not because I'm a Ugandan, I feel like Uganda has some of the best musicians on this continent. And I'm not just saying because I'm Ugandan. Those guys don't sing nothing. I'm telling you, there's a demo one, and kids are singing. You get it? But what Nigerians have been able to do is that capital came into their industry before us. Professor Dibia signed an international deal over 25 years ago. Fela Kuti. Capital has come into their market. They were buying up a firstborn. They were so kayo. So the fact that they have enough capital doesn't make us less talented. But the thing is that because professionalism and capital came into their market earlier, now the industry is streamlined. And this is what we're saying, even with Ugatunes and the products that I'm going to be presenting. We want to streamline the industry so that when this big company, James has told you, they want Mudundo to have a full office. As country representative for AudioMark 5 years, I never had an office. I wanted to tell these guys I need to do things in Uganda. They're like, you don't have enough streams. Because they would, evaluate us on a quarterly level. And they would say, Shadrach from Uganda, you had 30 million streams. And then my Abel in Nairobi is having 120 million streams, man. For you on 35 million streams in a quarter. So if that guy needs support, they'll give him support. So, it's premising from that experience that we come up with a Ugandan solution that understands Ugandan problems so that we can streamline the industry and attract international players, but then also attract investors. Because what we are bringing with Ugatunes, we are saying, hey, there's a dashboard of an app where Jekats from his streaming, where we pay 10 shillings per stream on the app, Jekats makes $10,000 a month, and then we distribute his music, he makes $5,000 a month, and then from his publishing, because he's a songwriter, he makes another $2,000 every quarter. So when you look at all that economics, or all that accounting, Jekats in a quarter makes, say, $80,000. So now there's something we're doing with Afromobile, with UDB, to create a credit line for creatives. That when Ugatunes presents now this economics, this accounting, and says, this is what you're doing, this is what Jekats can be able to earn in a quarter, can can you give him $100,000? So that is part of the solution. But all that comes when the industry is streamlined and the music is digitally traced. Some of the other reasons why we said we need to really venture into distribution. One of the biggest artists, we have the big three. One of the big three was with my boss Dale there, and he wanted, I think, $5 million from Dale. And so Dale is like, Shadrach, how do I make my money back? So I'm like, send the catalog. So I did what we call a digital catalog audit. He owns 400 songs. Some of the songs we know they were sung by him. But I do a digital audit and he only owns 100 songs. 300 songs are not his. Kasiukira, X-Zone. And he's like, no, Zange, Esmanya Rusini, what? So now, what I didn't know, so now Deo calls me after the audit. He's like, okay, Shadrach, tell me what up. And now Deo tricked me. I didn't know that I was on loudspeaker. I'm like, don't give that guy a coin. He doesn't own the music. So all of a sudden I hear the phone, Shadrach. The song is mine. I'm like, Deo, you want the guy to kill me. But this is the thing. It is because his music was not streamlined. So an artist like that cannot get that money because his music is not streamlined. And this is where we're coming from. So that's why we say, hey, let's create a distribution platform that streamlines an artist's music. So that even when they come now and they want credit facilities, they want investment, there's something that we can show to the investor. Because even getting advances from international companies, I've done this for a couple of artists where they've gotten money, $20,000, $30,000, but premising on how much they've been earning from their previous distribution. So that can happen. That's why it's so important that artists out there sign on to YouGetTunes very fast. It doesn't only put your music on those apps, on those DSPs, but you're first in line for an advance because we can track. I don't care whether ochikubanye kawempe basiba kuluyimba lwo, you're not going to get any dime from YouGetTunes if your music is not with us and we don't know how it plays. So it's so important that you distribute with us. That's why you see he chased them out of Google because of this solution. And lucky enough, we went to our partners, UCC. Now UCC under their program WorkSurf have something that they call, extending digital access and services to the last mile Ugandan. So we tell UCC, hey look, the last mile Ugandan could be a fisherman, could be a vendor, could be a mechanic, but it also could be a creative. I was saying, we told them, why don't you partner up with us so that we take this solution to the creative in Katakwi. So that by the time I'm in Katakwi with my team, I'm going to live with all the musicians in Katakwi, have their songs on Spotify. All the musicians in Kabarore will have their music on Spotify. So that's why we are with UCC, and a round of applause to UCC for the support, please. So they shared into our vision and they said, let's take the gift of distribution, because the panel here before have emphasized that distribution or digital is the next thing. But it's not just the next thing in Kampala. It is the next thing in Uganda. One time I was on a TV interview with Douglas, and I was telling the presenter that in Europe and in the US, for you to be giggable, in other words, for you to get a gig, to know where Iraq can get performance, they look on your AudioMac numbers, they look on your Spotify numbers, and they know, okay, right now Iraq is hot in Amsterdam. If we put up a show, indeed Iraq will blow. So, as internet penetration goes deeper in Uganda, as internet even becomes cheaper, we shall not need Abitex or Badjo to tell us who is hot where. I will know that in Liantonde, Iraq is hot, I can put up a show and people can come. That's where we are going with the help of UCC. That as internet keeps penetrating and people have access, they'll start telling us who is hot where. Not a promoter saying, we need that. No, the numbers will tell us. Right now, why we are depending on promoters is because we don't know what is on ground. But as we move closer into the last mile creatives, into the last mile Ugandans, having enough, as smartphone acquisition increases, we shall now know which artist is giggable where. So those are some, in a nutshell, those are some of the things. But Ronnie, are we ready so that we can unveil the platform? We have another panel coming. And a round of applause to Douglas. We had a really nice panel earlier. This is one of the best conversations in the creative I've ever had. One of the best. It was so organic. At first people were faking it, and then emotions came in. But it was a really nice panel. It's very, very important that the video is not dirty, doesn't have a lot of things, and also the quality is at a certain level. Very, very important. We're back? Okay. With UCC, where we're going to be traveling in a couple of districts as we bring this service close to the last mile youth or last mile creative. So we're going to move with a couple of people on this panel. You know, we would want, because it's not just a matter of writing a song, we would want Shina Skies to tell someone in the Antonde that this is how they write a masterpiece. Like Why by Diamond Platnumz and the Ben. How did he come up, should she come up with that idea? How, you know? So we're going to take a couple of those guys, Daddy Andre, to tell people, how do you sing? There's one time I took an artist to Daddy Andre, and she was in our choir in church. Then Andre was like, muhine vyafe, toka kasanyo, kona kokaton. At first she was like, you know, real singing, high notes, what. And then I thought, I'm like, Andre, this girl is, because me, I'm not a creative, so I'm like, this girl is singing nicely. But now, when the corrections were done, I figured that, okay, you get, so those techniques, that's what we want to skill the people, the last mile creatives, so that also as we distribute their music, as we distribute their works, you know, the works are acceptable and the works can be teachable. Now, the last part is anyone can distribute music. Go to Machinge there. People are like, let us tell you distro kid. Let us tell you tune core. But that's not enough. It's not enough. It's so important because distributing your music doesn't mean automatically you're going to make money. You get? There's so many artists who have music on Spotify with zero. There's an artist I was trying to pitch to James Nangama. They had no streams whatsoever, but their music was on Spotify. So it's not enough that your music qualifies to go to Spotify. How then does your music get to people's ears? You get it? And this is something that we want to do. Why? Because we want to raise as a collective. For instance, we are also going to start with Kadongo Kamu to make sure at least we have an unofficial playlist on Spotify. I will tell you, James. Spotify kuliko playlist ya Kadongo Kamu and it's recognized by Spotify. You get it? Eh? James, nina nyimba mtuaru. Zija. Now that I've launched. You get it? So, what we're trying to do is we are saying, can James at Spotify recognize some of our Chidandali music? Can you give us a couple of playlists? At Audiomack, at Mudundo, can Sarah, can you guys consider us? But now we are coming as a blog. We are bringing you talent from as far as Ishaka, as far as Kabale. We are going to go there and get all that music. So, we are not just distributing music. We are making sure that these artists actually get into recognized playlists. Some people in this room have done it for them on Spotify. I don't know how many times. If I've done it for you for free, you should clap before I look at you. Bukashim is not clapping. So that's what we're going to do. We make sure that artists' music is being... Laura, you didn't clap with your EP that I promoted like a program. Aria, you should clap. So we're going to be doing not for people who can reach us in Kampala, but for people that are, in last mile areas. You get it? So that's what we are doing. And then finally, as I wind up, guys, like I started, our problem is capital labor relations. But we need to have the ability to attract investors. And me now I have a problem with politicians, because now they are taking the best of our artists. People who could sing are now just joining politics. You can stay in music, get investment, and make money here. Someone talked about Tyler. I think it was James. Tyler is the first African artist on one song to make 1 billion streams. You get times 0.004, over $4 million. Translated to Ugandan shillings. One song, one platform, 12 billion Ugandan shillings. One song. But do you know why? There's investment right there. If Bwinoo is releasing a song, one is going to put 200,000 marketing budget. Tyler was signed by Sony. Her marketing budget on her new song is $500,000. There's capital. But we need to be able to invest to attract these guys, And we are not waiting for someone else to do it. We have to do it ourselves by having music organized, by having our catalogs organized. For writers and producers, have your catalog organized on the publishing thing, because from this is where you can move to UTP and tell them I'm Renex. I produced Cocodiosis, I produced Kasepichi, this is my income. But if I talk to my big brother Renex, I just myself now. Yafunamu? But it's not enough. I'm telling you, it's not enough. It's not enough. Because it's a natural verity that the Lord gave. Even someone in Kataku without money is married. You get? So it's very important that it makes, financial value. That Renex, talk about it's too late, no. Organize your 40 songs that you did for Bebe Cool. Register your works with Yuga Tunes. Those songs are still making money now because Bebe Cool is distributing that music. Register your works and make sure, but also make sure that the guy should not find us collecting and say, Nina contract, guy na mumalayo, make sure teba kumalayo. So that now you register your works, be on your dashboard, every quarter find out how much those songs have made. So it's important, let's get organized. The guys that are watching, register your works. If you're a songwriter, you're a producer, and then artists just get onto distribution.yugatunes.com. We cannot say everything, but in case you have questions, it's info@yugatunes.com. info@yugatunes.com. And then also there's a number on the platform where you can call us. Our time is fast spent. We need the next panel because our partners are here at UCC. But if you have questions, info@yugatunes.com will definitely have. But we can also chat on the platform, right? If they have any queries, support. So if there are any queries also on the platform, you can send through support and we can definitely get back to you. Thank you so much for coming. James was complaining at a certain event. Tabana Uganda, oita bibiri, atanu bebajja. James is a nice atanu ndaba 10. Thank you so much, Douglas. Thank you.